What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's Brendan and I'm BT17, and today we're coming at you with another video. We have our market analysis for the Digimon TCG. Like we do every Friday, we're here to talk about Digimon pricing, Digimon cards, the game, the meta, what's going on with tournaments and how things are going with cards, how prizing is going with tournaments. It's like always, there's a lot to talk about. There's so many different cards in the game, and we don't even get a chance to touch a huge good portion of them. We just kind of go with a little list here, and we're going to go through this. And I actually got some nice different picks today, as well as some similar stuff that we talk about from week to week as we look into the tournament season and look at pricing as things are going on, letting you guys know what might be good to buy, good to sell, and just generally what to stay away from. But here we are. We're going to start with some tournament stuff here. And hey, if you enjoy this type of content, be sure to smash that like button, comment down below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Subscribe to the channel and hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss a single minute of the fun. Well, let's start off right now. We are getting into our tournament prizing cards, the participants. We did the finalists last week. I wanted to take another look at the participant set for the Wave 3 regionals. You can see here a lot of cards are coming down. Raremon, which is a sought-after cards, coming down almost $10, just below 15. Gated Deadly Sins below 15. You got Zubamon at 12. Other cards like Imperial Dramon and Venusmon are under 5. Mega Gargamon's almost under 5. Ukumon's under 10. And then we have a few more here. Well, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, there's 7. No, that's all of them. So it's getting really cheap already. So by the time we get to the end of the regionals season, which will be the last one I am going to be in, is in November. So I think they're going to be mostly under $10, but we'll wait and see. So it's, if you're starting to think about picking up some of these cards, it might be start thinking about picking up them soon. Like I said, we still have a regionals in November, so that'll be the time when they get kind of the lowest. And there's a bunch of store regionals going on in November as well, October, November, so that'll decrease the price as well. Moving on, we're just looking at the Liberator cards again, kind of see how the promo cards are going. We have the Liberator special promotion. Shumon is under 30. Terramon's down to 20. These cards are ones that kind of fluctuate depending on events that have them. I know we have the New York Comic-Con coming up, so I think that if they do this promotion where you can get these cards for free again, you can probably see another spike of these going down. But also just the Liberator promotion pack cards, you look at the Shumon stuff, it's all pretty decent. Sell options, right? You got 23, 18, 12, and the Terramon stuff too, it's pretty up there. Shoto's not worth as much because you do have, and same with Galmon. Galmon's all right, but he's not worth as much just because you have those cards reprinted from the Evo Cup. And then you have things like the Liberator reprint. It's not that expensive in either form because now there's lots of copies of it out there. We also have the tournament stuff, the tournament pack stuff. It's been falling here. This was like $12 last week. So if you didn't get a chance to sell all your tournament promos, you should really do it now because these cards are going to be worth nothing in another week. They'll probably all be $1 or less. And with the exception of some things might be a little bit higher, but generally they will. It's, we're into this tournament season, and this is going to be with us from now until December. So 2 more months now. So these are going to be very cheap. There might be some spikes here or there as, we go from month to month to month when like the stock of these dry out. Then you'll see maybe little bumps to certain cards that are a little bit more important or getting more meta play, like Jerry's something that might stay up there. Jerry hasn't really moved too much, so it could stay at about like a $3 to $5 card. But other cards like this, like they're all going to be about $1, maybe $2 if you're lucky. So I would sell your stuff now. You can pick it up later. You're going to have 3 months of this stuff. But yeah, Event pack is starting to come down too. Some cards actually are coming down. Some cards are going up. This thing's like going up to $45. Protoform's like a crazy card. It just doesn't like to stay low at all in any form or shape. Of course, these two being the cheapest ones, the Quartzmon and the Magnamon. This has come down, it was at $20. Now it's at $15. I think this will be under 10. This has come down exponentially. Like the Sistermon, these what were both 40. This has come down a little bit. This has crashed hard as an alt in the set. I'm surprised by this, but it means that the alts will be coming down. You look at DeathXmon. DeathXmon's down to 42. That's still pretty good. And then these are kind of holding at that $20 to $25 range. And then Chaosdramon's come down under 20. So I mean, again, more packs we get, the more these cards will come down. We got Ultimate Cups, we got Regionals, and we got Store Regionals too. These are going to come down quite a bit. So I would wait still, because you also got Nationals, and these are going to be pricing at Nationals, and that's your last chance to get these. And that'll be the kind of the lowest floor you're going to see on these cards. But I would wait on that. Moving on to some cards that are doing well in decks. Phoenixmon had a top, second place at a regionals or an Ultimate Cup. But yeah, like these cards the cards for the deck are not expensive at all, and that's for high rarity stuff. Like you got Sora here, which is a 4 of $8.50. And that's easy. You got under $10 Grudemon Ace. More pricey of a card, Gallantmon Crimson Mode, but you don't honestly need to play Crimson Mode, and the Super is a lot cheaper. But this card is still pretty expensive, $52 for the alt of Crimson Mode, and you only really run one of it in any kind of deck you're playing. So, except for maybe Gallantmon, no, you probably still would play one of Gallantmon. But even then, Biomon, $12 for the alt Biomon from BT17. And there's still the other Tamer, the Akiho, and it's, I think, like $4 for the alt, and it's actually an older card from like BT11. So yeah, no, there's lots of cards in this deck that are just super cheap, so it's easy to build. So if you're looking for a deck that you could potentially do well at a tournament, it is a harder deck, I think, to pilot. So it takes a lot of skill, but this deck's pretty cheap. Phoenixmon, the red vaccine. Next we have Hexablow. Hexablow is exploding again. Almost $35. Might even go back to 40. This card's being used in so many blue decks. Just such a good card. Such a good stun card. It's amazing tech. I ran an Imperial Dramon last week at the Ultimate Cup, and I loved it. We have Lobomon here. Lobomon's the promo. I've seen a lot of red base decks for Ancient Garurumon, but I've also seen a lot of blue base decks. And this is a card that I think a lot of people are running in different variations of decks with Ancient Garurumon, just for that quick, basically attack, Digivolve up, do the effect, pop stuff, add it back to hand, and you can use it again next turn with the Ancient Garurumon. So I mean, there's lots of stuff you can do with this. It's not an expensive card either. This is the highest rarity of the card, and it's only like $5. It hasn't really gone up at all, because I think a lot of people are playing red base, but you could see it increase. There are a few copies, and then you start to see it go up, but I mean, not too much. I mean, not really past $8, and there's lots of copies out there. So this is something to think about if you're thinking about playing that deck. Another card that's being played in a lot of different decks is Lunamon. Lunamon's seen quite a big spike here. It was down around $10, and it's kind of come up, almost doubling its value, almost at $20. And still a lot of copies out here, but you sell a few and you're over 20. So yeah, this could see a buyout. So depending if you think you want this for your deck, might be a good time to buy. Another card, there's the Galaxy deck that did well at a tournament, and it's using both Lunamon and Coronamon. Coronamon, of course, hasn't seen as big of hasn't seen really like a huge spike. He kind of came up there around September, and it's kind of come down again. And the reason this is because this is only really good for the Galaxy deck, and whereas Lunamon is good in, I think people are using it in both Mirage and Hybrid. So yeah. Anubismon has made a comeback. Look at that spike there. This card was like a $5 alt back in like February after it got hit, or February, March after it got hit, and now we're seeing it at $18. $18. And if you had a buyout, it would go up to 40. You just need to buy, like a dozen copies, sell, and it'll be at $40 apparently. So that's kind of interesting. It's come up a lot. Like this is basically almost 3 times its value as of like a while back, because it was $4. You see $4 right there, 3 at the lowest, and that was in September. So Leviamon's been doing really good this format, and a lot of Leviamon players are teching this card. So I mean, it's been doing very well and slowly rising in price. Another card that people have been using in Leviamon potentially is things like Mervamon if you're going to run the Anubismon. So this card is actually seen a little bit of a climb here, and now it's kind of plateaued at the the $25 mark, kind of thing like that. There's a bit of copies out there, so I don't think you'd see a buyout of this, but yeah, it's still a expensive card. It's been an expensive card for a while. I think it did come down here. It looks like it was down around like $12 to $15 for a while, probably because it wasn't being played much. But yeah, going back to Death X, this is, we talked about Death X, the event pack one, but it's been nice to see since the event pack is gone now, so you've been seeing a steady decrease in Death X, including more so at the release of the new event pack Death X, because now people have more access to it. Cards also not getting played a lot in decks. It's not something super good in this format, so I'm not seeing it played in a lot of decks. So I mean, you got to think about that too. But so now, if you really want those high rarity Death X's, now might be the time. I believe the regular art's around $35, so it's actually lower than the event pack one. So now's the time to look at getting those Death X's for your collection. It'll probably go down a little bit more if you wait as the event pack 7 price one goes down a little bit more. But yeah, Analog Youth, the alt art is around $55. This card's still getting used in a lot of decks. It's actually seen a bit of a drop off here. We did have the gold Analog Youth announced at Nationals, so I think this is going to start to affect the price of this card, and as we get closer to Nationals and the release of those cards, you're going to see it go down a bit more as people have access to that other Analog Youth alt. So I think we'll see a drop. But we'll have to wait and see. Really, Nationals is a while away. December is the earliest one for, I think, Europe, so we'll see then exactly how this affects the card's price. This was like over $100 tamer at one point back when EX1 dropped with the alternate. Gomamon, another card that's getting played in a lot of blue decks. Mirage, Ancient, I think even the Galaxy deck. It's all right. There's $12, $15. It hasn't really moved at all. You might have seen like a little tiny bump there, but it's a good card. There's the super as well, but it's not too expensive, especially if you want to try this in your deck. And there's tons of copies out there. You got Louis Wada. Louis Wada still a decent price card, $12, considering that's limited to 1. It's a good tech card in a lot of decks, and it is getting played in a lot of tournament decks, so I don't think it's going to move really too much. You see it was higher there, $15. And so it didn't really drop too much from the time that it got limited. So I think this is kind of like where this card's going to sit for a while now. And at least until like they power creep Ukomon and Louis, which I don't know how they're going to do that, but it's scary just thinking about it. And the last thing we have is Imperial Dramon Paladin mode. Paladin mode, like Crimson mode, still pretty highly priced, $50 for the alt. I think $20 for the super. So BT17 has still got some decent cards to buy in there. Yeah, it's good in green decks. It's good in blue decks. So there's a lot of potential to play this card. So you can see why it hasn't really gone down, past $40. It's always been kind of $50 range, and that's from the conception when it was up at $100 when pre-release happened. But it's held its value pretty good. So this is a card that you can always trust to sell potentially. If you open it in BT17, there's going to be lots of people looking for it. And if you really, really want it, you're going to have to suck it up because the cost is going to cost you a little bit, unfortunately. But that is everything we have for the market analysis today. Let me know your guys' thoughts. Did we pick a good selection of cards? Did we kind of explore the meta and all its various details? We didn't look at some of the same decks we usually look at. They're topping because Imperial Dramon and other decks like that's already topping. We kind of focused on some decks that are making a comeback, some decks that are having these really cool tops for players that are really good at them, like Phoenix-Mon, Red Vaccine is something that a deck I really like. And definitely, I think, a skill-based deck. So the player who took that and topped with it definitely knows the deck very well and knows his matchups very well. Because it's just not something I think an average player can do. But, we'll have to wait and see if we see more tops with the deck now that it has topped. And we'll have to see how things go. We have a very diverse meta. Lots of decks in the format. I think Imperial Dramon usually takes the biggest slice, but it's nowhere as near as big as Numamon. So we'll see if that deck gets hit or if other decks are going to get hit as well. And if they're going to do a ban list, sometime between November and December, or if they're just going to let things be and see if the BT 18-19 kind of fixes or changes the meta. But we'll really have to take a look next month when things start to change once we get the pre-release done. So we'll keep you updated, and we'll be looking at future market analysis. And as always, we're gonna continue to bring these cards. We're a week. I think it's like a week away from pre-release now. I can't even believe it, because pre-release is gonna happen, before the end of October. So I think next week is gonna be pre-release. So we're gonna have probably pre-release pricing to look at next week. It's gonna be crazy. There's gonna be so much going on, but we'll bring it to you all as quickly as we can. And, as always, we're going to try and enjoy the tournament season as much as we can. But it looks like that's all the time we have for this video. Thank you very much for tuning in, and we hope to see you in the next video. As always, have a wonderful day. And that's all for now, folks.